The American Civil War, fought between 1861 and 1865, was a defining moment in American history. The war was fought over issues of slavery and states' rights, and it reshaped the nation's identity and values in profound ways. From the first shots fired at Fort Sumter to the final surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, the war spanned 4 years and claimed the lives of more than 600,000 Americans. In this video we will discuss the events that occurred during the American Civil War, examining the military campaigns, key battles, and the leadership on both sides. Background and causes. The American Civil War was a culmination of decades of tensions over the issue of slavery and states' rights. Slavery had been a contentious issue since the founding of the nation, and tensions had escalated in the years leading up to the war. The issue of whether new states admitted to the Union would be slave or free states had become a major political flashpoint, and the 1860 presidential election served as a catalyst for the outbreak of war. In the 1860 election, Abraham Lincoln, a staunch opponent of slavery, was elected President of the United States. His election was seen as a threat to the institution of slavery in the South, and in December 1860, South Carolina became the first state to secede from the Union. In the following months, 6 other states followed suit, forming the Confederate States of America with Jefferson Davis as their president. Let's look at the military campaigns of the Civil War. A. First Bull Run. The first major battle of the Civil War was fought on July 21, 1861, at Bull Run, Virginia. Union forces under General Irvin McDowell launched a surprise attack on Confederate forces under General P.G.T. Beauregard, hoping to quickly crush the rebellion. However, Confederate reinforcements arrived, and the Union forces were routed in a chaotic retreat. The Battle of Bull Run, also known as the First Battle of Manassas, shattered Northern hopes for a quick and easy victory, and marked the beginning of a long and bloody conflict. B. The Peninsula Campaign. In the spring of 1862, Union General George B. McClellan launched a major offensive against the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia. Known as the Peninsula Campaign, the Union forces made slow progress against determined Confederate resistance. Despite winning several key battles, including the Battle of Seven Pines, the Union forces were ultimately forced to withdraw, and the campaign ended in failure. C. Battle of Antietam. On September 17, 1862, Union General George B. McClellan and Confederate General Robert E. Lee faced off in what would become the bloodiest single day of the Civil War. The Battle of Antietam, fought near Sharpsburg, Maryland, resulted in more than 22,000 casualties and was a critical turning point in the war. Although the battle ended in a tactical draw, it gave President Lincoln the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring all slaves in Confederate territory to be free. D. Gettysburg. In the summer of 1863, General Robert E. Lee led his Confederate Army into Pennsylvania, hoping to win a decisive victory on Northern soil. The Union forces, led by General George G. Meade, intercepted Lee's army at the small town of Gettysburg, and what followed was one of the bloodiest and most famous battles of the Civil War. The Battle of Gettysburg lasted 3 days, and resulted in more than 50,000 casualties. The Union forces emerged victorious, and the Confederate Army was forced to retreat back into Virginia. The Battle of Gettysburg was a turning point in the war. E. Atlanta Campaign. In the spring of 1864, Union General William T. Sherman launched a campaign to capture Atlanta, Georgia, a major Confederate stronghold. The campaign was marked by brutal fighting and intense maneuvering, but eventually, Sherman's forces were able to capture the city in September. The fall of Atlanta was a major blow to the Confederacy, and it helped boost Northern morale as the election season approached. F. Sherman's March to the Sea. After capturing Atlanta, General Sherman embarked on a daring campaign known as the March to the Sea. With his army of more than 60,000 men, Sherman cut a path of destruction across Georgia, burning and destroying everything in his path. The campaign was a devastating blow to the Confederate war effort, and it helped hasten the end of the war. G. Petersburg and Appomattox. In the spring of 1864, Union forces under General Ulysses S. Grant began a siege of Petersburg, Virginia, a critical transportation hub for the Confederacy. The siege lasted for nearly a year, and was marked by brutal fighting and staggering casualties. Finally, in April 1865, Union forces broke through Confederate lines, and General Robert E. Lee was forced to surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. The surrender effectively ended the war, and paved the way for the eventual reunification of the nation. Now let's look at the leaderships that emerged during the Civil War. A. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln served as President of the United States during the Civil War, and his leadership was crucial to the Union's ultimate victory. Lincoln was a skilled politician and a gifted orator, and he was able to rally the North behind the war effort. He also played a key role in shaping the Union's military strategy, and he was instrumental in the passage of the Emancipation Proclamation. B. Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis served as the President of the Confederate States of America during the Civil War, and his leadership was instrumental in the South's ability to wage war against the Union. Davis was a skilled administrator and a respected military leader, and he was able to maintain the loyalty of his supporters even in the face of significant setbacks. C. Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was a celebrated Confederate general who is widely regarded as one of the greatest military commanders in American history. Lee played a key role in many of the war's most famous battles, including Antietam, Gettysburg, and Petersburg. Despite his military prowess, Lee was ultimately unable to prevent the Union's ultimate victory. D. Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant was a Union general who played a critical role in many of the war's most important battles, including Vicksburg, Chattanooga, and Petersburg. Grant's relentless determination and willingness to accept high casualties were instrumental in the Union's ultimate victory. In conclusion, the American Civil War was a defining moment in American history, reshaping the nation's identity and values in profound ways. From the first shots fired at Fort Sumter to the final surrender at Appomattox, the war spanned 4 years and claimed the lives of more than 600,000 Americans. The military campaigns, key battles, and leadership on both sides were crucial factors in determining the outcome of the war, and they continue to shape the way we understand this seminal moment in American history. Thanks for watching.